Hi, my name is Anna Porter, and I am one of the jurors. And I have the pleasure and honor of introducing the Irving Abella Award for Jewish History. It recognizes the best writing in Jewish history, and it will be awarded every year from now on. This year will be the first year. For those of you who don't know about Irving Abella, he was an eminent historian. I think you've heard that already. He started 2 new fields of history in Canada, Canadian Jewish Studies and Canadian Labor History. His books include None is Too Many, Canada and the Jews of Europe, 1933 to 1948, which he co-authored with Harold Troper. A Coat of Many Colors, 2 Centuries of Jewish Life in Canada, and many, many articles and many speeches. He was a wonderful speaker. His beautiful wife, Rosie, is here today. Irving was also the inaugural chair for the study of Canadian Jewry at York University, and he taught here for 45 years. He talked me into going on the board twice, for which I am still trying to forgive him. He taught the first course in Canadian Jewish history at a university. He was chair of Canadian Studies at the Schiff Professor of Canadian Jewish History, chair of Canadian Professors for Peace in the Middle East, chair of Canadian Jewish Archives, governor of York University, editor of Middle East Focus, chair of the Governor General's Literary Awards. I could go on for many pages, and in fact, if you look online, you will find that his honors and his achievements go on for many pages. I'd like my fellow juror now to present the award to the first winner in this auspicious category.
Thank you, Anna. This is the certificate for the Irving Abella Award in History, which goes to Professor Doris Bergen. And I just wanted to, if I just may, say that Between God and Hitler, Military Chaplains in Nazi Germany, which is an extraordinary exploration of the role of 1,000 Protestant and Catholic military chaplains who served in Germany from Hitler's rise to power to defeat, collapse, and Allied occupation. It's about, as I think you say, the mechanics or the mechanisms by which they did their work. It is a book that I think Ichi, as we called him, would have loved. He was a person of rigor and clarity and understood the moral questions and would have admired the kind of research. You were, I think, 30 years on this project. I think there are 60 or 70 pages of footnotes and bibliographic entries. My understanding is you scoured archives around the world and had a team of people doing it. This is the kind of archival, serious research for which there is no substitute, and Irving Abella did in his work. So it is a great pleasure on behalf of the Canadian Jewish Literary Awards to present this to you, Dr. Bergen. And there's a check too, which will come later. So the podium is yours.
I want to start by expressing my profound gratitude, first of all, to all of you who are here in this room. So many people who are really special to me, friends and colleagues, in this terrifying and terrible time. It means a lot to be physically together. Thank you so much to Edward and all the jurors for awarding this prize to me. To Anna Porter and Lionel Schipper for creating the prize. I also want to say a special thanks to the Koshitsky Center for Jewish Studies at York University, and especially Julie Feinberg, whose intelligent care in organizing this event is really remarkable. Thanks to Rosie Abella for her support, and it's a great honor to receive this prize named for Irving Abella, and to do so here at York University, an institution that meant so much to him. I want to tell you 3 things about my book, and I have even a title, I guess, for each one of them. One is about genocidal culture, one is about systems, and the third point is about sources. So to the first point, my book is about German Christian military chaplains who served the Wehrmacht, the German military, but it's really a book about the role of Christianity in the Holocaust. And chaplains provide a way in to this history, and they also played a key role. Christian military chaplains were witnesses to atrocities, including the mass murder of Jews. Their presence served to legitimate those crimes. And maybe the most important part of my argument, they played a central part in constructing a narrative of righteousness, a narrative that emphasized that it was somehow Germans who were the victims of the war, that it was German blood that served as a kind of sacrifice, purifying the nation like the sacrifice of the blood of Jesus. In this narrative, Jews were often presented as the aggressors in the kind of Judeo-Bolshevik idea, but often they were simply erased altogether from the story. This narrative is what I call genocidal culture, a system of thought, policies, and everyday practices that produces and sustains massive violence, that erases its victims, and that makes it possible for the people on the inside not to see the harm that they're part of. The second point is about systems. My book deals with about 1,000 Protestant and Catholic chaplains, but it is not so much a study of chaplains as individuals as it is a study of the institution of chaplaincy, the way an institution and its place in hierarchies of power shapes people and outcomes. It was not so much individual bad apples that were crucial here. In fact, the chaplains were selected above all on the principle that there should be no troublemakers. So not people who were selected for their fanatical devotion to Nazism, but rather people who would do their job quietly and effectively, and most of them indeed were trying to serve. But what I show in my book is the way that step by step their institution and themselves was compromised, developed certain patterns, what I call ruts of behavior, and under the pressures of extreme violence in wartime, they were stretched very thin, often with no time to think. And it's thinking that's the essence of ethical life. The centerpiece of my book is the chapter 4, titled Saving Christianity, Killing Jews, which deals with the summer of 1941 and the horrific explosions, the massacres of Jews in the recently invaded and occupied Soviet territories in those deadly months, July, August, September 1941. But it's the preceding chapters that deal with the years prior to the war itself, and also the following chapters that talk about how chaplains continued in their ministry after those events, that really show how the system came to be and how issues that in hindsight seem impossible, in fact, were not so surprising. The third point is about sources. Of central importance to my book are Jewish sources, which may seem counterintuitive. And indeed, when I first started this book, I thought the main sources would be chaplains' own reports and accounts. And those sources are important. I looked at many of them. But it took me a long time to realize that chaplains' own sources are really inadequate because they reproduce the very narrative that chaplains were part of. In order to see that narrative, I have to get outside of it. And what helped me to do that were a few factors. One was my involvement with the Center for Jewish Studies at the University of Toronto, and especially working together, teaching together with my colleague Anna Sternschus, who's here, seeing the importance of Jewish history in this history of Christian chaplains. I also really benefited from some fantastic research assistants among our students who know so many languages, so that I could look at sources in Romanian and Ukrainian, not just in German or languages that I could read. And finally, really important were developments in my field, the field of history, where changes in women's history, methodologies from Black and Indigenous histories have really taught us the importance of looking to silences in the archives and trying not to reproduce those silences in our work. So I think of the study as almost like getting inside the tunnel to see the chaplains, but to see the tunnel, you have to be both inside and outside. I think the use of sources is the most innovative part of my book, and it's what I hope makes it a significant contribution to an integrated history of the Holocaust. Thank you.